Okay, Namo Om Vishnu Badhaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasesha Sunyavadi Vashtatada Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Yes, I have to be attentive when I chant these prayers. I was looking at the recording of our last class yesterday, and I'm chanting the prayer, and I'm looking at the computer. So I'm being inattentive. So Hare Krishna. So welcome, Mother Chambavati. She just joined us. Hare Krishna. So let me share then Bhagavad Gita, and we can begin with chapter 8, text 15. Okay.
Murli Prabhu, I will stop you quick. So if you like,
Yes, go ahead.
in the beginning, when you start the class, you can make, if I'm here, you can make me admin and I can let devotees in. So then you
Okay.
don't need to look around.
Yeah, that
then
would be good. I was doing that in the beginning, then I forgot about that. So let me see if I can do that now.
Okay, thank you. More easy.
Co-host. I think it's co-host. Okay, so you're now co-host. So you should be able to let people in. All right, so look out for that little blue sign that comes up. And then you can let people in. All right, so let me share something very special with you all. It's a very special book. It's called Bhagavad Gita. And here you go. All right, you can see it. I can see, you can see. It's got the green line around it, so I can see what you can see. All right, so someone like to read here, text 15. There's not many of us to choose from.
I will read.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. Mamupetya Panarjana Dukalayam Sasvatam Napunavanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this material temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since this temporary material world is full of the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death, naturally he who achieves the highest perfection and attains the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, does not wish to return. The supreme planet is described in Vedic literature as Avyakta and Akshara and Paramagati. In other words, that planet is beyond our material vision and it is inexplicable, but it is the highest goal, the destination for the Mahatmas, great souls. The Mahatmas receive transcendental messages from the realized devotees and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness and become so absorbed in transcendental service that they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor do they even want to be transferred to any spiritual planet. They want only Krishna and Krishna's association and nothing else. That is the highest perfection of life. This verse specifically mentions the personalist devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna. These devotees in Krishna consciousness achieve the highest perfection of life. In other words, they are the supreme souls.
Okay, thank you. Right, any immediate observations, questions, or comments? Or
I have one quick. So it says the Mahatmas receive transcendental messages from the realized.
Yes, someone. Okay, try that. Yeah.
So it says here the Mahatmas receive transcendental messages from the realized devotees and thus gradually develop devotional service in Krishna consciousness. So that means that want to say it, we are Mahatmas. Because in my understanding, Mahatma means a realized soul.
Well, Mahatma, the actual definition is a great soul. Yes, we should give ourselves more credit. Perhaps we should be a little bit more, give ourselves credit to where credit's due. We are devotees, and we have some real, and we are on the path of bhakti. We're on the path of devotion to Krishna. And so here it says, such Mahatmas. So we're in the parampara, and we're hearing from devotees. So yes, I would say that includes us, although subjectively we may consider ourselves not being Mahatmas, but objectively we are, because we're engaged in loving devotional service to Krishna. And gradually one develops devotional service and becomes so absorbed in transcendental service, then they no longer desire elevation to any of the material planets, nor the spiritual planets. So that means, well, there are many planets in the spiritual realm, but specifically the devotees, after attaining me, they go to Krishna. Yeah. So what does to attain Krishna mean? It means to enter into his abode. Yeah. Sometimes there's an impersonal conception of attaining the supreme. But here's very clear. Krishna is saying those are yogis in devotion. Never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Yeah. Is that okay? So that's so objectively we are.
Yeah, and still come back. Can they still come back and support other devotees?
If that's the wish of the Lord, just like Srila Prabhupada is an example, where he came being requested by the Lord, but generally one never comes back unless the Lord has a special mission. Yeah, so it's said here, they never return to this temporary world. Never. So once you go, because sometimes the question's brought up, oh, say if we misuse our independence, is there a chance of us coming back? But here Sastra says, no, there is no chance of coming back. So we have to accept what the Sastra says. No one comes back. Yes, you have your hand there?
Yeah, I was thinking about something else also, but then all the pastimes, eternal pastimes of Krishna, which are derulating in present moment, still certain devotees will come back, but they will not experience the same. It's a question I'm asking. They don't experience the same pains and sorrows like we experience.
Sorry, say the first part again.
So devotees, like in all the pastimes of Krishna, which are now happening, let's say in Vrindavan, now devotees, which are constantly deliberating the pastimes of Krishna.
You mean in Brahma Vrindavan?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So they are still coming back, but they are here, but they are not here. Is that correct? Or
if I understand your question, so the Lord's pastimes are manifesting throughout the different material universe. Yes, so appearing with the Lord are his devotees. So in that sense, the devotees are manifesting along with Krishna within Bhoma. He's Nityasiddha devotees, but they're with Krishna, and Krishna brings the eternal abode to the material world. So in that sense, they're not actually entering the material world, because Krishna manifests the spiritual realm within the material planets. Yeah, so the devotees, as you say, they are free of adibodhic, aditavic, and adhyatmic miseries. If I've understood your question.
yes, thank you.
They experience emotions of horror and shock, and for example, in relation to Krishna's killing demons and Krishna being entangled in the coils of Kaliya, but it's all in relationship to Krishna, if I've understood correctly. Yeah, if I've understood your question.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yeah. So, anybody else?
Would they not also be in their spiritual bodies, so they wouldn't feel any pains or anything like that?
Yeah, you could say that.
You know, they'll come here in their spiritual bodies
Yeah,
because they don't have material bodies. So
yeah. You don't have material bodies like that. Okay, the Mungo, it's a question to you. There's someone waiting to get in. Can you see them? Can you let them? Yeah, well done. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Now I just wanted to read, if I can find, there's a nice, wonderful purport by Ramanuja, which it seems like Prabhupada is very much taking a lot of inspiration from in writing this purport here. I just read this. This is Ramanuja's commentary to this verse. He says, those who attain Lord Krishna do not return to the impermanent material existence and temporary condition of samsara, the perpetual cycle of birth and death, the abode of misery and suffering. Right, so just comment on that. That's opposed to the demigods, yeah? Only devotion to Krishna can give you an eternal position in the spiritual world. Yeah. So continuing with Ramanuja, he says, the devotees of Lord Krishna are Mahatmas, or great noble souls. So here's an answer to your question as well, Mother Mongol. This is a Mahatma. Perhaps we can, this is where Prabhupada took inspiration for his purport from here, perhaps, because Ramanuja's mentioned, it's in the verse, and Ramanuja elaborates on it as well. The devotees of Lord Krishna are Mahatmas, or great noble souls, who have enlightened themselves as the real nature of his Nam, or name, Rupa, or form, Guna, or attributes, Dham, or abode, and Leela, or divine pastimes. Such exalted beings feel such fervid love for him in separation that their very life becomes unsupportable. So we've been speaking about Vipalamba quite a bit in our Sankara Kamudi classes. I thought this is a nice description. Such exalted beings feel such, the word is an old word here, used fervid. I think that can be translated as intense. Love for him in separation, that their very life becomes unsupportable. They can't go on without Krishna. They cannot exist without Krishna. Those whose mind are focused on him and whose heart is only for him in bhakti, or loving devotion, is the very heart in which he resides. Those who by incessantly meditating upon him will attain the highest perfection, which is the Supreme Lord Krishna. Next will be discussed why the Artati, or seeker of wealth, return to material existence, and the Bhaktas, or the devotees of Lord Krishna, are liberated from material existence. All right? That's from Ramanuja. So devotees are wrapped in meditation upon Krishna, so naturally they will go to be with Krishna. They actually attain Krishna, as opposed to those who worship devas or demigods, etc. Yeah. Yes, they are supreme souls. And now Krishna here, where it is, yeah, so yeah, now other than that is going to be described, the material realm. Yeah, so let's read number 16. Mother Mongo, you have your hand up. Is that for reading? Go ahead.
That's allowed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Abrama bhuvana loka punar avartinor Arjuna mam upetiyatu kaunteya punar janma na vidyate. From the highest planets in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated births and deaths take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Purport. All kind of yogis, karma, jnana, hatha, etc., eventually have to attain devotional perfection in bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subject to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, and Indraloka fall down to earth. The practice of sacrifice is called Panchagni Vidya, recommended in the Chandogya Upanishad, enable one to achieve Brahmaloka. But if one Brahmaloka, one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to the higher and higher planets, and at the time of universal devastation are transferred to the eternal spiritual kingdom. Sridhar Swami, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, quoted this verse: Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte prati sankare para parashante kritatmanaha pravishanti parampadam. When there is a devastation of the material universes, Brahma and his devotees, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universes and to the specific spiritual planet according to their desire.
What was your chariot that you said? What was you reading? What was the name you said there?
Sridhar Swami.
Okay, here it says Baladev Vijayabhushana.
Ah,
So I guess,
Sridhara Swami.
yeah, here it says Baladev Vijayabhushana. So I guess after some editing, it was found that actually it was Baladev Vijayabhushana, unless you're reading from a later edition. Anyway,
I
details.
think it is this one.
Okay. Anyway,
So I'm not sure.
yeah. Papa will quote this verse quite often. Yeah. From the highest planet in the material down to the lowest, all are places of repeated birth and death. Yeah. So there's no going to, yeah, here it says those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets. So those who practice Krishna consciousness in the higher planets are gradually elevated to the higher and higher planets. But actually, I was reading also the commentaries on this and describe that the devotees don't stop off at Brahma Loka. They go straight to Krishna's abode. Yeah, as it said in the previous verse, they actually attain Krishna. Yeah. And it seems even on Brahma Loka, some may not cultivate Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So therefore they return to this earth, the place of repeated birth and death.
So what are they doing there?
That's a good question. What are they doing?
Enjoying. It's like a heavenly planet in a way.
Brahma
But they
Loka is the it's the highest planets in the spiritual realm. It's not the heavenly planet, I don't think. It's the abode of Lord Brahma, unless I'm mistaken. But mainly they're all self-realized souls, and they're cultivating Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Mother Chandravali, you moving? You have to mute if you're moving things around. Yeah. So what are they doing there? They're worshiping the Lord, Brahmaloka. And when there's partial annihilation, when the end of Brahma's day, And then they will, from there, they will go up to the higher planets of the sages. Yeah. Anyway, so those who progress in Krishna consciousness on higher planets are gradually elevated. Yeah, it says here, at the time of universal devastation, and they entered the eternal spiritual kingdom. All right. Okay. Sounds too good to be true. Yep. Any further questions on this? Yeah, planet.
So
Those
what? Sorry, I always jump in the moment when you.
Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, and Indraloka. Yeah, so Brahmaloka here is grouped in with the heavenly planets, fall down to earth. Yeah. So even if you go to the higher planets, Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, Indraloka, you're gonna, as we know, you fall down to earth. So as in comparison to the devotees of the Lord, they go straight to Krishna's abode and never return. Yeah. Sorry, Madhumango, I cut you off.
Sorry, I cut you off. So is that, do they come back to planet Earth? Because that, I don't know. I remember a past time you were saying because they didn't study Srimad Bhagavatam, let's say, or the scriptures, and that's why they coming back.
I think you're mixing up, although it has some relevance, what you're saying. You're mixing up with the Brihat Bhagavatam Rita.
Yeah, from there I was thinking I
Yeah,
make.
that was Gopal Kumar, who then had to came down to earth to hear the technicalities and the development of the different rasas and bhava by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. But generally, as we hear that to get to the heavenly planets, you have to accumulate piety. And then when you're in the heavenly planets, your piety gets diminished gradually. And then you fall down again into the earthly realms. So again, there's also other verses in chapter 9 where Krishna describes the same principle. Yeah. Those who go up to the higher planets, they come down to this place of death. Yeah. So, in answer to your question, Madhu Mangopo, I think it's just a case of becoming exhausted of pious credits. Yeah. So, yeah, it's almost like, yeah, it's very material. Yeah, the piety that's done in this world, its effect is temporary because it runs out at some point, even if one reaches the heavenly planets. So the point being made here is to focus on Krishna. Yeah. And here, but one who attains my abode never takes birth again. So Krishna's saying it again here. Never takes birth again. And now, to establish this point, reading here from Krishna compares the material world with the spiritual nature. In from text 17 to 22, he's making a comparison between the material worlds and the spiritual worlds. Yeah, that's why it's mentioned in the 13th chapter. Janma. One should be aware of the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Dukkhayi tamashashvatam. Yeah, this one. Often we forget. We become a bit complacent, and we become a bit complacent, become quite familiar with this place of misery. Yeah. But don't worry, Krishna will help us as we begin to age. We will be reminded. Yeah, that this is a temporary place and it is full of miseries. Yeah. As in comparison to the spiritual realm. We tend to get we get covered over it. It describes in it that Krishna's covering potency, the potency avaranatmaka and preps atmaka, pulls one down and covers one over. Well, one feels quite comfortable here in this place of misery. And there's a nice story in that regard to illustrate this point. So like yesterday, I'll ask, does anyone know that example that can be given of becoming complacent even within an abominable situation? Someone was cursed. Was it Indra was cursed or Lord Brahma was cursed?
Indra.
Indra, all right, so you got the
But
story.
he shifted himself
Oh,
like
he was
Yeah, go on, Mother
a
Lavanya.
hog. He came to this planet as a hog, a dog, like a what do you call those in Vrindavan who live in
Hog.
the
Hog, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
hog. It was Indra who was cursed or Brahma was cursed? It was Indra.
Indra.
Yeah.
Indra, yeah. So that's the story. I don't know if Prabhupada told that story. I'm not sure, but we know of that story where so he became cursed. Indra was cursed. And then he was wanted back in his post for the administrative affairs of the heavenly realms. So Lord Brahma came and reminded him, "You are Indra, the king of heaven. Return to your abode." But he was covered. He was covered over, and he was quite comfortable. Normally I add bits on this story. He was in the mud, and it rained the day before, and he was wallowing in the mud, and it was, and he was with his family and pig. Anyway, you get the idea. So I think it's Lord Brahma had to decapitate, isn't it? He took his sword or took a weapon and decapitated the hog who was Indra, and then Indra attained his destination. Yeah. So I'm sure we're aware, but if we think of the different miseries of this world, just think of what people have to go through in this world. Yeah, think of the different types of diseases and the atrocity or the catastrophic way that people die. Think of the different millions of people that are being killed and slaughtered on this just in this material planet. Yeah, think of the Second World War. How many thousands of people? How many people died in the Second World War? Anyone know? Millions, I think. First World War. Then we have the war now in Ukraine. How many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people being killed? So how many hundreds of thousands are there widows and daughters with no father or sisters with no brother? Yeah, suffering so much. Think of the news where we've seen where there's tsunamis. Yeah, where thousands of people just get wiped out. Yeah, hurricanes, tsunami, will take your pick, and diseases. All right, we're trying to forget about COVID, but how many people died in COVID? I don't know how many. Does anyone know that? Well, the number is quite controversial. But anyway, hundreds of thousands of people died. Yeah. And just think of the different types of diseases that the one can get. Yeah. So this is a place of misery. But the illusion is that there's some happiness here. Well, that's the illusion. I mean, there is, you know, when there's a break of, as we know, there's a lessening of misery. We think it's happiness. But anyway, let's not forget that we're in a place which is temporary. So whatever situation you do have, it is temporary, as in compared to the spiritual world. And that's what Krishna's going to now make the correlation between the material world and the spiritual nature. It's coming up in the next 3 verses. Yeah. I mean, I haven't done for some time, but a few years ago, I watched just out of curiosity, excuse me, bit of a deviation, but I watched a documentary stroke film documentary because I had to do a presentation on suffering, and I looked on the internet on the suffering and I watched this documentary on the Second World War and what the Jews went through in the concentration camps. I mean, absolutely horrific. We don't even want to repeat it, but absolutely horrific. The terror that they went through and experienced. So if anyone says this material world is a place of unending happiness, no, it's not. It's full of anxiety, yeah, full of grief. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, let's not paint.
Can I jump in quick? I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
starting from the birth,
Yeah,
because the birth is so painful to come out,
yeah,
and we still smile and celebrate the birth, not knowing and understanding the consequences the birth have.
yeah. I guess it's part of the culture of human life is to make the best thing of a bad bargain. So that's why people celebrate birth. But yeah, I mean, Lord Kapila describes about that in the 3rd canto, isn't it? He describes the effects of adverse fruitive activities. And he gives a description of the soul within the womb to the point where it takes birth and then childhood and youth, and then old age, and then death. A quite graphic description of the position of the jiva within the womb. Yeah. So this is the material world, yeah, which we happen to be in. Hare Krishna. All right. So let's any other questions, comments? Hope I haven't painted too much of a graphic picture of the material world. And it's good to be reminded. Janma Mityu Dhyavyadi Doka Doshno Darshanam. That's the phrase I was trying to remember. Yeah. One should be aware of the miseries of birth, old age, and disease. Janma Mityu Dhyavyadi Doka Doshno Darshanam. This is knowledge. It's one of the aspects of knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at text 17. Okay. Someone would like to read this verse, number 17. Okay, I'll do it. Sahasra yoga payantam aha yad brahmano vidu ratrim yoga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janaha. Okay. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is duration of his his night. Purple. The duration of the material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas, or ages, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice. And the yuga lasts 1,728,000 years. So 1,728,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, vice is introduced. What does vice mean? Anyone can, let's just gonna look at it.
I think it's a tool which you can use to, no?
I know that thing. And look,
It's just like a variety of sinful activities,
yeah,
you
immoral
know.
or wicked behavior. I've got a dictionary here. Yeah, we know vice.
It is a tool, actually. It is a tool of bad behavior.
I know. Yeah, I know it. Immoral or wicked behavior, an open sewer of vice and crime, for example. But it does say here, a metal tool with movable jaws, which are used to hold an object firmly in place. But the context here is the first one, immoral and wicked behavior. So interesting, in Treta Yuga, immoral and wicked behavior was introduced to a degree, but nothing like to the degree that it's present now. Yeah. In Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and this yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. Okay, let's try to. In Dwapara Yuga, there is an even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this yuga lasts less 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga, the yuga we have now been experiencing over the past 5,000 years, there is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice. True virtue being practically non-existent. And this yuga lasts 432,000 years. So we're in 5,000 years or more. But keep in mind, all this is temporary. Although it seems fantastic, Krishna's making the point that even the life of Lord Brahma is temporary compared to the spiritual world. Yeah. So in Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at the termination of the Yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as the, which incarnation?
Kalki.
Kalki, yes. As described in the 12th canto. As the Kalki avatar vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. Do you know how Satya Yuga manifests? Because you think that if you think about it, then Satya Yuga comes straight on the back of Kali Yuga. So do you know how it? One of the ways that it manifests and everything gets purified is just the scent of the lotus feet of the Lord. It transforms everything. Just his presence transforms everything. Everything becomes transformed by the scent of his form. Yeah. If you think about it, because Satya Yuga or Kali Yuga, or let's say Satya Yuga, the next one is coming straight on the back of Kali. Yeah. So Krishna's present just purifies, everything becomes purified. Just like when Krishna purified the Jamuna after Kaliya had contaminated with poison. Just by Krishna's touch, it became purified. So in the same way, everything becomes purified. And a new golden age assumes. Now, there's also a sandhya, which means it doesn't happen exactly from one day to the next, that there's a sudden change. There's a sandhya. It happens over a few thousand years as a gradual change. Yeah. Yes, so is it, yeah. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas rotating 1,000 times. So if you add up all those numbers, Prabhupada says it here. Okay, then I wrote in the front. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas rotating 1,000 times comprise 1 day of Brahma, and the same number comprise 1 night. Yeah, I've read this many times. I can never remember it, and I would like to memorize this. So the process set. So these 4 yugas rotating 1,000 times comprise 1 day of Brahma, and the same comprise 1 night. Brahma lives 100 of such years, so that's his relative, and then dies. Yeah. Then he's born again on Kabadakshaya. Yeah. And he goes through the whole process of meditation in order to be empowered to create. He forgets his previous life. Then the Lord Hridaya inspires him within the heart to create again. So these 100 years by Earth calculation total to 311 trillion 40 billion Earth years. So by these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and intimable. But from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. In the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic. Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. All right, so Brahma gets old. I wonder what he looks like when he gets old. I wonder if he ages. I wonder if it's manifest in his physical features.
Is that his pain going to be even more severe than our pain because it's so prolonged?
I don't know. I haven't heard any descriptions of the detail of Brahma becoming diseased. But anyway, it's described here. Even Brahma, he has to go through the process of disease and death. Yeah. I just imagine it's a bit different. I somehow or another, I can't imagine it's the same experience as us pathetic little earthlings here. You know? Great persons like Lord Brahma, I think it must manifest in a different way. But whatever it is, he has to die. Yeah. Like that's what, when he was curious about the source of his birth or where he came from, and he went down into the lotus stem, then it took half of his life was spent searching down the lotus for the source of his birth. Then he realized his life was ebbing out. So he didn't go to he couldn't find the bot. So you can imagine the size of that lotus. You know, half of Brahma's life went searching in that lotus. These things are inconceivable to us. So then he came back onto the top of the lotus. And it's described that the great winds of devastation and the waves were, the lotus was going back and forward, then Brahma heard the words, as we know, tapas, so he followed that, obediently he followed that which he understood to be coming from the supreme source of meditation. But anyway, so all right. So in the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. Brahma, however, is directly engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. All right, so he's going through the process of old age, but he's engaged in Krishna's service. Yeah. So he's engaged in the service of Supreme Lord in the management of this universe. Therefore, he at once attains liberation. Okay. Elevated sannyasis are promoted to Brahma's particular planet. Yeah. So that means those who are practicing Udvareta Saha, celibacy. Yeah. celebrated sannyasis and brahmacharis. That's their destination, Brahma Loka. Promoted to Brahma's particular planet, Brahma Loka, which is the highest planet in the material universe, and which survives all the heavenly planets in the upper strata of the planetary system. Yeah, so when there's an annihilation. But then when there's a total, but at the end of the life of Brahma, everything is annihilated. Yeah. But in due course, Brahma and all the inhabitants of Brahma Loka are subject to death according to the law of material nature. Okay. So that's, it seems fantastic, but it's all temporary, as in compared to the spiritual world. Any observations or questions on this?
So if Brahma has other Brahmas on the planet where he lives in Brahma Loka, then there are Brahmas with more heads and Brahmas with few heads. So the main Brahman has thousands of heads, and then he is ordinate
Yeah,
other
no,
one.
now let's be clear. Each Brahma has his own particular universe, of which he is the predominating Brahma. Right? So there's Brahma there. Then there's elevated souls who also reach that abode of Brahma. But there's Brahma with, as we know, the pastime, which is recited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the opulence and sweetness of Krishna. There's when the different Brahmas come, some have 4 heads, some have 100 heads, some have 1,000,000 heads. So they're all coming from different material universes. They're not all situated in one universe. Is that clear? Yeah. As far as I understood, as far as I understand. Yeah. So Brahma here has 4 heads because this universe is quite small. But there's other universes where he has 1,000,000 heads. What that looks like, how that works, I've no idea. How can one have 1,000,000 heads? It must look a bit, what that looks like, perhaps we cannot understand it. But it's described as 1,000,000 heads. So that's quite a big universe. Yeah, it's described just like that this one universe, which has millions of planets, it's in a cluster. If you picture the universe like a bubble, yeah, it's in a cluster of hundreds of millions of bubbles, yeah, which are all different universes with millions and millions of planets in this one universe, and they're clustered together. You know, Bhagavatam describes, I'm just reading that part in the Srimad Bhagavatam actually, where the different coverings of each universe. It's 100 times earth, water, fire, air, ether. Yeah, the coverings themselves, and they may be right. Ioannis, can you try and picture it? Like is
There is a picture in the temple, I think, at the entry. If it's not moved away from there.
yeah, no, it's still there.
Yeah.
So that give you some idea. But the main point that all this is all temporary. It is not like the spiritual world. Yeah. There is no annihilation. There's no partial annihilation. There's no full annihilation. There's no going up and coming down. There is no. It is all eternal. Yeah. And the next verse, yeah, well, yeah. So let's read number 18. Huh? Someone like to read text 18? Oh, Chandravali, you're quite quiet today.
I can read it.
Okay, go ahead.
Read it. Avyakta dvyaktaya sarva prabhavanti aharga game ratri agame praliyate tatrai yakta sannake.
Yes. Okay.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
All right. Okay.
Shall I do the next one?
Oh yeah, there's no. All right, there's no. Yeah, to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Bhuttagama sa
Right.
Bhuttagama sa evayam Bhutva praliyate Ratriyagame vasta parta Prabhavati ahar agame. Did I just read this one? No.
No, they're similar in their presentation. They're speaking of the same subject, so they're quite similar.
Okay. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. The less intelligent who try to remain within this material world may be elevated to higher planets, and then again must come down to this planet Earth. During the daytime of Brahma, they can exhibit their activities on higher and lower planets within this material world. But at the coming of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities, and at night, they no longer have bodies, but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. Then again, they are manifest at the arrival of Brahma's day. Bhutva praliyate. During the day, they become manifest, and at night, they are annihilated again. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifest for millions and millions of years. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. In this way, they are captivated by the spell of the material world. And those intelligent persons who take to Krishna consciousness use the human life fully in the devotional service of the Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus they transfer themselves, even in this life, to the spiritual planet of Krishna and become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths.
Right, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So I think let's just complete this little series of verses. We can read number 20 as well. But any questions or inspirations here? More or less explaining the same thing. Yeah. These verses.
Yeah. So I was just thinking when the universe is annihilated at the end of the day of Brahma, this is normally at the end of a Kali Yuga cycle. Would it be?
No, it's the end of let's see, it mentioned it.
Not every Kali Yuga, but
It's there's
one
a
particular.
certain amount of cycles of let's just go back. There's a certain amount of cycles it described. That's why I always like to try and
There's a partial annihilation.
Partial annihilation is the end of Brahma's day. Total annihilation is the end of Brahma's night. So here it described 1,000. So after 1,000 cycles of Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, then there's a partial annihilation. If I've got that right, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not
So the annihilation takes place at the end of the Kali Yuga cycle.
at the end of 100 cycles.
Yeah.
100 cycles, then there is annihilation. Like
Yeah.
after
No, I was just wondering because when the living entities get merged into the body of Vishnu, they will bring all their karma with them.
Yes. Yeah. Krishna as the super soul will guide them in their unspent fruitive activities and in their karma. Yeah. It's all kind of everything is in suspension. Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to envision it. But it said they no longer have bodies, so they don't have material bodies, but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. And then when they're injected into the womb of material energy again in the next creation, then they continue their path of fruitive work. Yeah.
So are they unconscious?
Yeah, there's I would say so. It seems some like some type of suspended animation. I haven't
Where they're
read
not
any,
actually doing anything, thinking, willing, feeling.
yeah,
No.
I haven't read any detailed descriptions of it.
Yeah, it
But from
sounds
the way that-
strange. Because the soul is, they say, is always active. So you're always acting.
Yeah, perhaps it needs to be, perhaps we need to look at it. Perhaps I'm sure it might be described in some Purana, but I can't give any specific quote or description.
Yeah, it
of what
doesn't
that
really
is.
give information on that aspect, like what is
Yeah.
the soul doing when it's there, or
It's probably waiting, just waiting for the next creation. Then the Lord breathes out. Then by the glance of Shiva, that goes through the glance of Shiva, then the jivas are impregnated into different material
Or
universe.
maybe it goes into a different time scale. Like for us, it's like, oh, they're suspended for millions of years, but once you're in the body of Lord Vishnu, those millions of years might just go past in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so I think we can conclude it's a bit inconceivable of what exactly is taking place. But the point is that the soul's being injected again into the material realm, into a material universe, to again experience adibodhic, adidevic, and adiatmic miseries.
Can be possible, I jump in quick, can be possible there will happen like demigods also live there and they are repairing the souls and they are working to prepare the new creation for the
I don't know. It's a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a.
preparation.
The
Sounded a bit like
demigods are repairing the souls in the body of Lord Vishnu. And unless you read something like that, I wouldn't hold to that one.
Yeah, I don't, it just sounds like magical somehow, like there it's inside, whatever happened is preparing for.
Yeah.
I
Well,
heard they stay in an unconscious state.
you heard
Well,
that. So they're unconscious in suspended, some type of trance, some type of suspended unconscious. So they're unconscious. Yeah, just like there's not much conscious, just like trees, they have stunted consciousness. Then they're not aware of their complete surroundings. So one doesn't have a body, but one's in some type of animation. But then again, then they're injected again to go through the whole thing again, birth after birth, wandering from one planet to the next, sometime in the heavenly planets, sometimes in the hellish planets, sometimes in the
Yeah.
earth planets.
But you see, I was thinking, like, when they get merged into Lord Vishnu with their karma, they might have like very demoniac, after being in Kali Yuga, demoniac minds, mentalities, and sinful activities. But then when the universe gets recreated, then they're back in Satya Yuga, yeah?
I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't.
No.
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. It just.
I think we should just conclude that we don't know the actual details of it. I mean, I can understand the point you're making because then the first when everything is created again, then it starts again, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. So then we may presume that they manifest in Satya Yuga. I don't know. That's all I could say.
Maybe in a hellish planet in Satya Yuga.
Well, sometimes
Earth.
there's a sub age, like for instance in Satya Yuga, sometimes a Kali Yuga manifests. It's called a sub age. Like for example, Hiranyakashipu terrorized the universe in Satya Yuga. Yeah, so it became a sub age. became a
And actually, Lord Chaitanya's movement is like a sub-age. It's like the Satya Yuga in Kali Yuga.
yeah. That was the next thing. Yeah, and so
That was a, yeah.
no, so that's right. Yeah, so in Kali Yuga, there's also simultaneously there's a sub-age for those who take shelter of the holy name. Then they're considered to be not in Kali Yuga. They're experiencing the state of mind of the residents of Satya Yuga, for the elevated devotees, you know. So, anyway, for example, in Satya Yuga, Lord Nrsimhadev appears. Yeah, well, he appears. Yeah, Hiranyakashipu. Yeah, yeah, Hiranyakashipu terrorized the universe. So, no place in this material world is safe. Yeah, even if you're in Satya Yuga. Even if you're on the heavenly planets, then sometimes the heavenly planets can be ransacked by the daityas, by the demons. And we hear in Bhagavatam where the demigods have to vacate the heavenly planets and go into hiding. Indra loses his throne. Yeah. So this is the material world where you lose your job. Yeah. You lose your wife, you lose your husband. Yeah. You lose everything here is temporary. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so anyway, let's read tomorrow, and then text 20, text 19 we're on now. What text do we leave on? 19. Yeah, text tomorrow, things get a bit more positive. Yeah. Yeah, there is another unmanifest nature. Okay, having explained that, there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and transcendental. It is never annihilated. Yeah. So that's Krishna's abode. So we'll hear about that tomorrow. A bit more positive. Okay. All right. Thank you all joining us a few minutes past 7. So please join us tomorrow at same time, same place, same chapter. Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Yeah, if anyone in the meantime wants to do some research on that, then you're quite welcome. Of what is the situation of the jivas in the body of Vishnu? Yeah, you check it out online. If you've got any information on it, you can share that. Okay. Hari Hari. Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, all the
Yeah.
Vaishnavis.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.